Welcome to the part two of this topic called disease and immunity, where we are going to be looking at vaccination. Vaccination. So, vaccination gives protection against specific diseases and boosts the body defense against infection from pathogen without the need to be exposed to dangerous disease that can lead to death. Let me go over this again. Vaccination gives protection against specific diseases and it boosts the body defense against infection from pathogens without the need to be exposed to dangerous diseases that can lead to death. So let's look at how does vaccination work? How does it work? What's the process involved? Now, first, if you are asked how vaccination works, or this is all you need to write to get out full marks. Now, first, a harmless pathogen given to an individual, a harmless pathogen given which has antigen, such as bacteria and virus, being introduced into the body by injection or swallowing. Now, antigens with triggers an immune response by lymphocytes. Antigens trigger an immune response by lymphocytes, which produce antibodies that have complementary shape for the antigens. Now, the antibodies target the antigen and attach themselves to it in order to create memory cells. Now, as memory cells have been produced, this immunity is long lasting. That if you now get infected by a more dangerous pathogen, and that same type of pathogen that is not harmless, your system has already produced a memory cell that will be able to produce in high numbers antibodies in high numbers that will destroy the pathogens faster. Now, how does vaccination control the spread of diseases? How does vaccination control the spread of diseases? Now, if a large enough percentage of the population is vaccinated, it provides protection for the entire population because there are very few places for the pathogen to breed. It can only do so if it enters the body of an unvaccinated person. Now, this is known as a herd immunity. Now, if the number of people vaccinated against a specific disease drop in a population, it leaves the rest of the population at risk of mass infections. Now, as they are more likely to come across people who are infected and contagious. Now, this increases the number of infections as well as the number of people who could die from a specific infectious disease. Now, if you look at this diagram, what it's trying to explain is no different. No one is vaccinated, so contagious disease spread through the population. So this green simply means vaccinated individuals, not vaccinated individuals, and not vaccinated but still healthy. Now you have two individuals here that are not healthy because they are not vaccinated and not vaccinated. Then you have a lot of them that are healthy. So it will be very easy for this disease to spread across the population of people because they are not vaccinated. Now you now have a population here where two people still have a contagious, they're sick and contagious, and you have four people that are vaccinated. Then you have an entire population. Now what will happen is some of the population gets vaccinated, so contagious disease spread throughout the population through some. So in this case, you find out that some that are not vaccinated will get infected, but those that are vaccinated will not get infected from the contagious disease. Now, if you have a population where majority of them are vaccinated and you still have two people that are infected, you find out that over time, the number of people that will, the spread of the disease within that population will be less because most of the population are vaccinated. So you get only infected when you don't get vaccinated, and it get really spread fast if a whole lot of the people are not vaccinated. So you can be sitting close to somebody that is infected, but as long as you are vaccinated, you will not have to suffer from the same disease. Now, there are ways to prevent transfer of pathogens, ways to prevent the transfer of pathogens. Remember, pathogens are disease-causing organisms. So how can we prevent the spread of these disease-causing organisms such as bacteria, viruses? So the ways are quite straightforward and simple. First, the simplest way to prevent disease is to stop pathogen from spreading. So once pathogen can be stopped from spreading, we can easily prevent the spread of diseases. So this means using simple measures such as good hygiene, effective sanitation, and proper waste disposals. So let's look at them individually. Hygienic food preparation. Now, keep food cold so pathogen and fungi reproduce more slowly. Prepare food hygienically to avoid contamination from pathogens by washing hands well with soap and cleaning work surfaces with products such as bleach and to kill pathogens. Cook food well, long enough at high temperature to kill pathogens and fungi, bacteria and fungi. Cover food to prevent flies landing on it before eating. Use separate chopping board utensils for cutting uncooked meat. Now, wash hands after using the bathroom before handling food. Another is personal hygiene. Washing with soap removes substance which trap pathogens as well as pathogens themselves from the skin. Use tissue to catch sneezes and cough. Dispose and use tissues as soon as possible as pathogen can still be alive. Wash hands after using the bathrooms. These are simple hygienic um, criteria or habit you should have to prevent spread of disease. Now, waste disposal. Waste food is a food source for flies that can act as vector for transmissible diseases and so should be disposed of in a sealed container. Rubbish bins should be covered and removed to the landfills for disposal or burning regularly. All rubbish should be stored before collection away from human habitation. So this proper waste disposal. Then we look at sanitation. Homes and public places should have plumbings and drains to safely remove feces and waste which can carry pathogens. Raw sewage should be treated to remove solid waste and kill pathogen before being released into the environment. So that's it with chapter 10. So we'll look at chapter 11 next. So I need you to subscribe